and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest today is someone that I've been dying to talk to, relationship coach, mental health advocate, and soon to be an author. My friend, Courtney, thanks for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh man, your Instagram is very informative and you share so much. So yeah, how do you find social media and how did you get to do use it the way you do now?
Oh gosh. I find social media, it's like a love-hate relationship. So it allows me to connect with, just incredible people all over the world, like yourself included. And then it's also like the pressure to produce and, stay on top of it to keep people engaged and on top of the algorithm. And so that can feel exhausting at times. But I would say that, man, I did not start posting the way that I have until the last probably year and a half. I switched to a much more authentic, transparent approach as opposed to more of like an expertise approach.
Oh, yeah. I think to me, that's kind of what I relate when it comes to your post because it's like, you say the thing and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I relate with X, Y, Z, or you know what, I've experienced something similar. So it's like more down to earth versus, I guess the expertise approach.
Yeah. It makes it a lot more fun for me to do it that way, to be honest. I think that I took the advice to be this, expert that kept space between me and my audience. And I just didn't love it. So I'm glad to be in this change now.
It's very, I welcome it and I'm a huge fan. And
Thank you.
So how did you get to be like what you do, like a relationship expert? Talk me through it.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. So I was like pre-law. And then I took a gender politics and law class my sophomore year of college. And it totally changed my life. I was like, oh, I want to learn about sexuality. I want to understand relationships. And back then I was very engrossed in the evangelical Christian church and thought, man, we as Christians do a terrible job talking about sex. And I want to be a part of that solution and a part of that change. So I decided to go and study sexuality and then eventually opened up my own mental health and sex therapy practice. And just really loved the dynamics of relationships and marriage and love and really threw myself into that. And then I just did specialty trainings and a bunch of certifications and then just kept working in the field. And it's just like a self title that you give yourself. Nobody's going to like verify if I'm a relationship expert, but I guess they use me enough so that I, the Huffington Post or Cosmopolitan or whatever, they usually only tap vetted experts. So,
and what do you love about what you do?
Oh man, I love. Oh gosh, where do I even pick? I love being able to connect with people who have felt unconnectable before. So a lot of my clients either have felt unseen or unvalued or unloved for most of their life. And then when they work with me, they're nervous and scared about working with a quote therapist, even though I'm not licensed anymore and I call myself a coach. They still oftentimes will refer to me as like their therapist. And I just love providing a space for them that is fun and relaxed, but also challenging and helpful. So I love to be able to break down what people think that coaching or counseling is like, and then provide a space where it's completely tailor-made for them.
Yeah, I know. I love that combination of fun, safe, and like challenging at the same time, right? Because when you feel safe and then you're getting some challenging questions, okay, I can take my time, I can walk
Hmm.
through this, and this person will at least help me to the other side safely,
Yeah.
hopefully. um, and with I guess with clients, like what how do you work with them? Like, so I reach out to you, I'm like, hey,
Hmm.
I know you do this and help me with XYZ in my relationship. Is that how
Hmm.
it works?
It depends. So I have individuals reach out to me who are usually pretty successful and they're like, I've done all the quote right things and I'm still pretty miserable. So what's the disconnect? I feel far from my spouse. I don't really have a relationship with my kids, but I'm a CEO. I'm own my own business. I look good on paper, but I feel like there's something missing.
Mm,
That's usually one thing. Another thing is somebody who just feels disconnected from themselves, where they're just like, I
mm,
don't really have any joy in life. I don't really have any interest in people or things, and so then that's another one. Or I work with couples who are either recovering from infidelity, they have mismatched sexual desires or sex drives, or they really just keep having the same argument year after year after year.
mm, mm. Wow. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean that recurring one. It feels like you're talking to me. So, and then you're like, do you have a certain amount of, I guess, sessions you walk through, or it's based on how the client wants to, I guess, how far they want to take it, or how many sessions they want to do?
Yeah, I go back and forth on this and, I don't have a great answer. So I have different options. Sometimes people just want like a one off or they only want to spend money to do just a one off session. I have other clients where I will put them in like well, not put them, but they sign up for like a month long container. Usually I recommend doing like a 3-month container because it's hard to bring about change in like 30 days. You can, but it's then about, okay, now what happens when I get to that next phase and processing that support? Your nervous system doesn't feel safe to be at that next level if you've been here at a different level for so long. And so then, people think, oh, great. Okay. Like I lost the weight or I got the boyfriend or I got the job. And then they're like, oh, now I'm done. And it's like, oh, no, you're just beginning.
Mm, yeah, yeah. It's one thing to get to where we would like to be. It's another thing to maintain it and keep it going.
Yes.
So,
Yes. 100%.
like, you lost the 20 pounds.
Yep.
Keeping the 20 pounds away is a different thing.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And I remember reaching out to you like, oh, you know what? I love what you do. I love your information, but also I'm calling for selfish reasons
Hmm.
because, like, your talk about poly and polyamory relationships was very eye opening because, it's like you said, when you kind of start something is fresh, good, you want to grab, 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 but then there's this whole, okay, now you're here, how are you going to maintain this and keep
Hmm.
it going? So I loved how refreshing your take on poly
Hmm.
relationship was on Instagram. So what's your own poly journey been like?
Oh gosh. So I asked my husband for an open marriage 4 years ago, and then about 9 months after that, realized I was polyamorous, and he stayed monogamous.
Sorry, before you continue, like
Yeah.
for people that might be listening, what would be the relationship between opening your marriage versus saying you're non poly?
So, if you are in an established relationship, the term that a lot of people will use, so when you're monogamous, the default is a closed, exclusive relationship. And so when you change that relationship structure, the
Mm.
terms that is often used is opening it. So now that other people can come into that in varying capacities. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and then poly.
And then, oh, yes. So, and then being polyamorous, that means different things to different people. But one of the big distinguishers is the capacity and desire to have more than one romantic partner. So being polyamory means many loves, but how people practice polyamory differs greatly. For me, it is having more than one, ideally just two romantic partners. So my husband and then another man. And unfortunately, I'm not bisexual. So I only date men. I know. I'm upset about it too.
Okay, yeah. So you opened it, and then I guess what happened in the 9 months that made you realize, oh wait, you didn't just want it to be open; you were actually polyamorous.
Yes. So it took us about 6 months to get on the same page in terms of what my husband feeling comfortable enough to be like have me be non-monogamous. He never had any desire to be non-monogamous, and so for me, it was a lot of discussions about what that looked like, why I felt like I needed it, what I hoped to accomplish in it, how it looked in other people's lives, those kinds of things. So then after 6 months, I went on a date and then started like getting on the apps a month later, and then went on another date with a different guy, and then I had a psychedelic mushroom trip, and that's when I realized I was polyamorous. But I did from that. So I had that first date, after almost 20 years of dating my husband only. That was he wanted more casual, the guy that I went on a date with. And I at first thought that was cool. And yeah, of course, like, yeah, I don't want anything serious. And then I like not hearing from him afterwards. I was like, or minimal interactions with him afterwards. I was like, oh, I don't like this. This doesn't feel good to me. Like I like the connection. I like knowing the person, having this ongoing type of let's explore, let's understand, let's support each other. I was adamant though when I was exploring and talking with my husband about this concept of non-monogamy that I was not polyamorous, because I found polyamorous people so annoying. They were always talking about like how great it is and how much love there is to receive and give, and I'm like, oh my gosh, shut up! Like we get it, And so it's hilarious now that I wrote a book about it, and that I am very openly and very pro polyamory.
Yeah. And I guess 4 years now. How has it been for you?
Transformative, incredible, heartbreaking. I mean, like all the emotions. I think that when people see, especially a woman who is appearingly confident, it must be easy peasy for you, right? You must have all of these guys lining up. You must have all of these partners. And it's been really lonely in a lot of ways. I live a very monogamous looking life. My community is predominantly monogamous where I'm at. And it has been something that I've really had to fight for and really advocate for myself. I've been really fortunate where my close friends and family have been incredibly supportive, but they still, when you're not polyamorous, it's hard, like you just don't get it, And so they can offer support, but only to a certain extent of what that looks like. And I live in a really small area that's predominantly, I'm in Germany, so it's predominantly military, American military, and then small town Germans, and doesn't exactly boast well for the polyamorous community. So it's really forced me to come to terms with how I feel about myself. It's really transformed my relationship with myself and being able to advocate for what I need. So yeah, it's a whole lot of feelings.
I mean, and like, how are you navigating all those feelings?
I would say for a long time I avoided them. Like I was just hooked into the dopamine rush of attention and likes and wanting to escape my life. I was really unhappy in my marriage for a long time and saw this as the solution, non-monogamy as the solution. And, I'll just find another partner and then that'll make me happy. And it was when I finally started to work on my relationship with myself that I was like, oh, this I have to face. Like I have to face my shame. I have to face the guilt. I have to, face these beliefs about myself and about relationships and love and religion. And there was a lot of deconstructing. And so I would say working with professionals was really helpful. How do you cope? I think just being honest and knowing that is really what sets you free is the truth.
Mm. I mean, it's good you have people supporting you and professionals and all, but the real work is when it's you and the mirror, right? How
Yeah.
difficult and heavy was that for you?
Oh gosh, that was really scary. It
Mm.
was really, really hard because I've got 3 kids. I was so scared of disappointing other people, and so I tried to be what they needed me to be, and didn't. I felt I was really disconnected from myself and especially my body. And this journey has really led me home, like really led me home to
Mm.
myself and of what it means to love myself, of what it means to believe in myself, to have to really face yourself. It's funny because a lot of people think that polyamory, it's, oh, you have all this love and all these things. And I mean, sure, some people do. Yeah. And at times I've had a lot of it, but it really, the common denominator in all those relationships is me. And so I am committed to showing up as the best version of me for my
Mm.
partners or for my whoever's in my life. And that takes a lot of freaking work.
You mentioned it a few times about misconceptions people have about polyamory
Mhm.
and relationships in that lifestyle, and
Yeah.
I was wondering what was something you thought about it before that
Mhm.
4 years later it's either different or it's like, oh yeah, I was right.
The first thing that comes to mind is the idea that all polyamory is this, like it looks the same. So I was
Right.
shocked that there were like so many variations. I When we first started, I was definitely hierarchical polyamory. So like my husband was like I ranked him essentially. He was number 1, and then I would find somebody like a secondary partner type of thing. And then the more I started to like look at how different people did it, I was like, oh, there's different ways. Like you can navigate this differently. So that was
Mhm.
really fascinating to me. And it also led to a lot of frustrations because when I would match with somebody who's identified as polyamorous, how they practice polyamory didn't match up with how I expected it to. And I was
Right.
like, but you're not poly. And I remember in the beginning, I was like, you're not polyamorous. So you're just looking for hookups. Like you're just looking to have these casual encounters. And they're like, well, no, like I have, many. And I wanted to do it right. And I wanted to do it well because that's how I had functioned my whole life, especially in
Mm,
monogamy. So for me, coming
mm.
into this community where there was no like gold standard of this is how you do things well, that was a really hard adjustment for me.
Mm, 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 mm. I like it's been 4 years now. What have you
Mhm.
found? It's like this is kind of the flavor or the type of polyamory that works for me.
So right now, at recording time, I find myself a little bit drawn to this concept of relationship anarchy, which is, that relationships in and of themselves hold their own power and authority, and there's no ranking system, there's no definition per se. It's you have connections and you mutually decide to expand those parameters or define those parameters however you want. So I think I'm kind of leaning towards that. The reality is like I've been with my husband for 23 years. We have 3 kids together. He's my nesting partner. It looks very hierarchical in that respect.
Mm,
Our finances are enmeshed, but also I don't say, oh, I love him the most. He's more important to me. I prioritize different people depending on what they need. Same with my kids. When you have 3 kids, I don't always prioritize the same person the same.
mm.
So I think that is kind of like my polyamory right now looks very open, but also I can't deny the fact that I look very hierarchical to people who are in the community and would accuse me of that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But it wouldn't matter because, like, you know, you are, as you said, enmeshed, especially when finances, you're nesting, you have kids together. That
Yeah.
is just what it is. And and then understanding, okay, this is me and this is my capacity that I actually,
Exactly.
let's talk about our capacity is something that I'm learning a lot of. How do you navigate that? Like, how do you realize, okay, this is what I can give and that's it?
Yeah, I think for a long time I was trying to have like two full monogamous relationships. And so my capacity, I would burn myself out because I was trying to prove like that it was possible to have two like parallel like simultaneously equal relationships. And so for me, I am much more open and direct about like this is what I can offer you. I think for a while, the first couple of years, I almost felt bad that I was married. It was like, well, I want to connect with you and I want to offer this to you, but like I can't fully do this. And not that I didn't want to be married and I didn't love my husband, but no one teaches you how to navigate polyamory and nobody teaches you how to navigate non-traditional relationships. So I was applying my monogamous relationship logic to non-monogamous relationships and it just wasn't working. So when I finally came home to this concept of like, it's okay to say that this is my capacity right now. This is who I am. This is what I want. And this is what I can offer you.
Mm.
Whoever can wants is drawn to that, great. And whoever isn't and they're turned off by it, then they're not for me.
There you go. And it's like early on, you're trying to put this square peg in a round hole. It's just not going to work, you know?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then once you realize, okay, this is what I can give. And
Yeah.
is that actually, let's talk about the book. How, you
Mhm.
know, are these things you've learned over the years what you are, you know, putting in your book?
No, it's really a journey of the last few years of us opening the marriage. So it starts out, it has some of my childhood in there and like the programming I had around, you know, sex. And I grew up in purity culture in the evangelical Christian church. So it was very much sex is only for marriage between a man and a woman. And the concept of polyamory and non-monogamy was never even discussed. Women were to be modest. So I had a really bad relationship with my body up until probably last year.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
really, really bad relationship with my body. I would say the last few years have been like it's progressively gotten better, but I still really struggled with feeling good and confident and loving my body for, you know, a variety of reasons. Uh, so the book is really about my journey from opening the marriage to about a year ago is where it stops. And how I navigated the identity of being polyamorous, how I questioned what it meant to be a woman, to be a wife, to be a mom, because it's definitely not what I live now. I mean, some of it is, but a
Yeah.
lot of it is, you know, you're being selfish, you're too much, you're greedy, you're irresponsible, you know, whatever. And
Mm.
it's an examination of that. I talk about like attachment styles in the book and talk about some of my relationships with the men that I dated, that I loved, you know, the beginning and ends of those. And then also how my marriage like completely transformed.
Mm. One thing you've mentioned a little bit in passing earlier on, but the other thing, because you have an Instagram page, I might get this name wrong, but I think it's called the Monopoly Couple. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
another
You got it
thing.
right.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm keen on. Like, how did you figure out how to make it work?
How to make our marriage work?
Mm. With you being poly and he
Yeah.
being monogamous,
Monogamous.
yeah.
I think one of the things that I I remember this was like 2 years ago, actually, on our anniversary. I said, "Hey, I get if you want to leave. Like if this is like not working for you, like if you really want a monogamous wife who's only focused on you." And he said, "Courtney, all relationships have their issues. If this is our biggest issue, I'm okay with that." And so he doesn't need my monogamous husband doesn't need a sexually or a partner to be sexually exclusive to him. Like and I don't need my partner to be monogamous to me. Like that's great that he is, like because that's who he is and so I support him, but all the other parts of our life work so well together. It's just that I also happen to have the capacity and desire to have more than one romantic partner. And it took him a while to really work through his own insecurities, because society tells a man, like, you should be able to satisfy your woman. She does not need anybody else. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you have no self-esteem. You're letting her walk like all of these horrible, toxic things. And he had to work through those to say, is this something that I am okay with and creating a life with based around this? And he was actually the one that came up with creating our YouTube channel, because he wanted to help other couples who were in either monogamous marriage or relationships who wanted to change, like they wanted to stay together, but something wasn't working, or they were already established as one was monogamous, one was polyamorous, but they felt so much shame and there weren't any resources there to help them.
Yeah, no, I love the videos you two make together on that thing. Actually, let's keep it going with social media.
Sure.
Like, social media can be, you mentioned earlier, it can be, you have a love-hate relationship with it.
Right.
But being that, you're poly, you talk about relationships, what are some, like, how I don't want to say toxic, but how interesting are messages you get in your DMs?
It's so funny because people think I get like hundreds of messages a day, and I don't. Like, I really, really don't. And I love getting respectful. I can't emphasize that enough. Respectful messages where people are genuinely curious. Either they're curious about me as a human, like as a woman, potential romantic interest, or they're curious about their relationship that they need help navigating, or they're curious about non-monogamy, polyamory in some capacity. I would say, yeah, occasionally I get hit on by guys. It's actually not that common. People are shocked that I respond to messages. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like you responded?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why would I not? I don't like this idea that like I'm in some like untouchable superior position. I really am here to help and serve and be a voice of, I don't know, reason, bravery, advocacy for non-traditional relationships. And you can't do that if you are only speaking into an echo chamber. Like, I really want to hear from people. I really want to encourage people, and that requires connection.
Okay. The book, what's it called? How far along is it? When should we expect a book?
Yeah, it's called Opened, and it is due February 17th. That's when it releases.
Oh my God, that's around the corner.
It is.
What, I guess, advice would you have for someone that's checked out this episode and they're like, I might be interested or curious to walk down this path? What advice would you have with the knowledge you've gathered over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I would say identify your why. That is one of the things that when people message me that, they're like, well, I'm kind of curious about polyamory, or I think I might be polyamorous, or I want to open my, marriage. I'll say, why? Like, why? And you don't have to tell me that. I don't care what your why is, but if your why is not strong enough, you will crumble, because we do not live in a society that celebrates anything outside of monogamy. And so when you are trying to navigate this terrain, unless you're in Portland or Berlin, like maybe Amsterdam, like you're going to have a hell of a time really standing firm in that exploration, in that curiosity, because I get called horrendous things on a daily basis. And yes, I get most people aren't out. But when you carry that shame with you and you choose to stay closeted as you explore or as you're already established, that takes a toll. Like being closeted and being secretive, some people have to. Like, I get it. Like in the military, they can't be out. I totally respect that. But I think that it does such a detriment to people, and they don't even realize it when they have to keep parts of themselves secret.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why it's wonderful when you meet someone that accepts all of you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, it is. Okay. And then when I guess someone has started the journey, what advice, I'm guessing, like, when you'd want to share with a friend or
Mhm.
even family, like, what is some good practices with approaching that?
In terms of disclosing that you're polyamorous,
Mm.
um, I think for me, gosh, I haven't had that conversation in a really long time with somebody, which is nice. Most people just like already kind of know now because of my social media and it just kind of spreads. But I would with like my mom, I said like the people that I love the most, like, hey, I want to talk to you about something that's really important to me. And it's something that I'm still struggling with or still processing, but I wanted to let you know that this is who I am or this is what I'm exploring. Um, I don't I don't know if I feel comfortable answering questions or I am happy to answer questions or if would you like to know more about it. Giving them the opportunity to consent to receive your truth, I think is also really important because some people don't want to know. They kind of have this picture of you and they're just don't want to take the energy or time to learn anything different. I'm finding that with
Mm.
some of my American friends who are starting to come out to family or they want to incorporate their partner into like Christmas and all this other stuff and their mom or their sister are really resistant and it's hard.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I mean, I'm loving a conversation, and I can't wait for the book to come out. But I just want to say first off, thanks for being so open to my
Oh,
invite
you're so welcome.
and sharing all the amazing stories and experiences you share on your Instagram. Where can people check your stuff out?
Sure. So the best way is either Instagram or TikTok, which is Courtney Boyer Coaching. I think TikTok's Courtney Boyer Coaching 17. And then my husband and I, we have the Mono Poly Couple YouTube channel. We would love it if your listeners subscribed. And then we also have the Mono Poly Couple on Instagram as well.
Yeah, I'll be sure to put all those links in the show notes.
Okay.
Courtney is awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for giving me all this time because I know it's like way late over there, but I
It's
appreciate
okay.
it. Thank you for all the cool things you do, and thanks so much for coming to the sanctuary today.
Thank you so much for having me.